So let's talk about how your labs will actually be graded. So this is for in-person labs specifically, and then we'll talk about online labs. So every lab experiment is worth 100 points. You get 40 points for the lab report. This will include your data sheet, post-lab questions, and all of your calculations and other work. 30 points of your score comes from your actual results. These are the accuracy points. These points are particularly tricky. They are a measure of how well you performed the experiment, and it is possible that you can perform the experiment perfectly but still lose all 30 points. And a lot of students have felt that that's very unfair, but a lot of Gen Chem 2 is about learning the math that goes along with science. So it doesn't matter if you can do an experiment correctly if you can't interpret your data correctly. So common mistakes include things like you were supposed to divide by concentration in molar, but you left your numbers in millimolar, and now you're off by a factor of 1,000. Or you took a measurement in grams, but you were supposed to use kilograms in the equation. So those are definitely the most common types of mistakes, and they're really, really easy to bypass. These types of mistakes are actually why we require you to work up your data sheet before you come to lab. If you work up your data sheet before you come to lab and give yourself a bunch of helpful hints, then by the time you get to lab and you are plugging in all these numbers, you're less likely to make a mistake and lose all of those points. There are also 10 points for professionalism and 20 points for data sheet preparation. So the other portion of your experiments will be on lab flow, and for those of you in section 30 or group C, all of your experiments are on lab flow. So these are also worth 100 points. 20 points come from the pre-lab quiz, and 80 points come from the experimental report. Your course grade is calculated out of 1,105 points. You get 900 points from 10 experiments because your lowest experiment grade will get dropped. So even though you perform 10 experiments, you're only actually going to use the grades from your top 9 towards your course average. 100 points from the final exam, and please note this cannot be dropped. So if your final exam is your lowest score, it still counts. 25 points from the syllabus quiz, 25 points from the mandatory meeting quiz, which is what you're watching these slideshows for, 25 points from the math quiz on lab flow, and 25 points from the safety quiz. And then lastly, 5 points from the background survey that was given to you last week.